There was a Saturday in Sydney just a few weeks ago when it just rained and rained and rained. And roads got flooded, trees fell down, backyards got washed away. And it was a perfect Saturday to just stay inside, read a few books, have a hot chocolate. But my boys had Saturday sports that day. But fortunately, I had a staff conference. So while I was inside, warm and dry, my wife was out there at an AFL game for 3 of my boys. That one day put me in debt with my wife. I'm in the red. I'm still paying off that debt, maybe for life. But it makes you wonder, why do we put our kids into Saturday sports? Well, there's this idea that if we put our kids into sports, it will get them ahead of life and maybe they will succeed. See, why do we put our kids into anything? Why do we make them do violin lessons or maths tutoring or Chinese lessons? Because there's this idea that this will get them ahead and they will succeed. See, our children carry our dreams, our ambitions, and also our insecurities, and we need them to succeed so we can also succeed. And we do lots of things ourselves to succeed. Maybe we have to take up some qualifications, get an MBA, get experience, an overseas job, present ourselves well, get the tailor-made suit. Maybe we need to build up social capital, be good at golf and skiing and tennis, or be part of the private school rugby club. We do all these things to get ahead, to succeed. So our question today is this: well, how can I find extraordinary success when I don't know what tomorrow will bring? So welcome to this month's forum series of talks. Here we're looking at how we can get the extraordinary in life. And our topics are success, goodness, life, and legacy. And each week, one by one, we'll go through these topics and see what the Bible, in particular the book of Ecclesiastes, has to say about our topic. This will come in the form of a 20-minute talk from me now, followed by 10 minutes of question and answer from you guys. And our topic today is success. And we can define success as us finding what we're looking for. We achieve what we're chasing. So maybe it's us passing an exam, getting a qualification, getting a job, a status, a position, a trophy family. But when we find what we're looking for, then we have succeeded. Success. But the Bible has this to say about success. Ecclesiastes chapter 11, verse 1. Ship your grain across the sea, and after many days you may receive a return. Invest in 7 ventures, yes, in 8. You don't know what disaster may come upon the land. It says do everything you can to succeed, but you don't know whether you will succeed or whether you will fail. So our question remains, how can I find extraordinary success when I don't know what tomorrow brings? Well, we have an outline in front of us, and you can see in the outline there are 3 parts to today's talk. The first part we'll look at, well, how do we usually understand success? In the middle part, what the limits to this success story is. And finally, in the third part, what's an extraordinary way from the Bible to see success? So let's begin with the first part of the talk. How do we usually understand success? And we usually see that success is based on a meritocracy. Success is based on a meritocracy. A little while ago, some friends of mine said, hey, do you want to join us in a run on a Saturday in the Royal National Park? So I thought, fine, that'll be fun. So I went to the run, but little did I know, this was no little fun run my friends had organised. It was a private race where they were going to time us and give us a place, a position, and a ranking. And so when the gun went off, all my friends took off and left me by myself, and they didn't even tell me what the course was going to be. And so for the next 2 hours, I was running around the Royal National Park, lost, without water, and finally I stumbled upon a road. I flagged down a car, but I didn't really flag down the car. I threw myself in front of the car, forced it to stop, and it took me to the finish line. And when the race was all over, humiliation of humiliations, they sent out an Excel spreadsheet with your name, your time, your position, your ranking, and your place. And I came last. I thought I was just doing this for fun, but it was a meritocracy where you had to earn a place and you got ranked and you got a percentile. And that's what life is like. Maybe we thought life was meant to be fun, but no, we are in a race. We're in a meritocracy where we're being ranked. That's the whole point of the HSC. The HSC gave you a number that ranked you, and now you're a position, a place, a percentile. And the ranking keeps going on in life. When you go to a dinner party and they ask you, what do you do? That's a ranking question. You are being ranked at that moment. And so if you can say, I am a fighter jet pilot, or I'm a brain surgeon, well, you climb up the rankings. But if you say something like, I'm an out-of-work writer or a Bible teacher, you fall down the rankings. Success is based on a meritocracy, and we succeed by being the fastest, the strongest, the fittest, and the smartest. We are being ranked, and success is based on a meritocracy. Well, let's come to the middle part of the talk now, where we'll look at limits to the success story. And here I suggest three things. And the first thing is this. We can't all be winners. Now, as a little Asian kid, I did what every little Asian kid did. I had to do the piano. My parents forced me to learn the piano. Asian parents force their children to learn the piano, which is funny because they don't want you to grow up to be a musician, because there's no money in that. They want you to grow up to be a doctor or a lawyer, but somehow they still force you to play the piano. So I did, like a dutiful, good Asian son. I was never any good at it. And at the end of the year, the teacher had an awards ceremony, and that night she gave some students A's, some got B's, some got C's, and I got the encouragement award, which is a euphemism for this is not an A, this is not a B, this is not a C, this is something else. And that's the problem. We can't all be winners. In the Western narrative that says we can all be winners, it leaves out the bit which says, but we won't all be winners. See, for someone to win, someone actually has to lose. If there's a front half of a bell curve, there has to be a back half of the bell curve. If people are getting A's, B's, and C's, someone else has to get an encouragement award. And so I tell my friends in the front half of the bell curve, hey, you're only there because I'm in the back half of the bell curve. I'm taking one for the team. Your success is only possible because of my failures. But that's the problem. We can't all win. Some of us have to lose. And then in the Western narrative that says we can all be winners if we just try hard enough, if we believe, if we dream, what do we do when we don't win? Well, then we have to say things like, well, maybe we didn't try hard enough. Maybe we didn't believe. Maybe we didn't dream. And so in a success narrative where we praise our winners, we actually have to blame our losers. It's actually a very cruel narrative. That's the first problem. We can't all be winners. The second problem is this. We won't win at everything. We can't win at everything. I have three boys, Toby, Cooper, and Jonty. They're aged 8, 7, and 4. And we have fallen into the parent trap. Every parent swears that they are not going to fall into the parent trap, but somehow it just sucks you in like a vortex. Before you know it, your whole week is taken up with children activities. So a typical week for us looks like this. There's swimming lessons, and then there's band practice, and then there's football training, and then there's clarinet lessons, and there's Saturday sport. Our week is full of children activities. We can't cram in anymore. But then some well-meaning parent will say, what about Chinese lessons? Why aren't your children learning Chinese? They need a foreign language because that will wire their neurons and give all the connections in their brains to make you smart. They've got to be doing Chinese. And then some other well-meaning parents say, what about the piano? They're not doing the piano. Clarinet's not a real instrument. The piano is a real instrument because you have to use two hands and read the treble and the bass clef. Your kid's only reading one clef right now. And suddenly you realise your kids can't be good at everything. You have to make your choices. If they're going to be good at maths, well, now they can't do sports. If they're going to do Chinese, now they can't do clarinet. We have to make our choices. We can't be good at everything. This is Lisa Pryor. Her book is The Pinstripe Prison. and I'm getting this reference from my boss, Al Stewart, and according to Lisa Pryor, she says, we can only have 4 burners going in life. One burner is career, then there's family, and then there's friends, and then there's fitness. And these 4 burners are rumbling in our life. But if we want to turn one up, like career, we have to turn something down. So if we want to be good at our career, we now have to turn off one of the other 3 burners. Maybe we have to turn off the family one, or the friends one, or the fitness one. But they can't all 3 be going if we turn up the career one. And according to Lisa Pryor, if we want to excel in our career, now we've got to turn off 2 out of the other 3. Maybe we have to turn off family and friends and just keep the fitness one going. Or maybe we have to turn off fitness and friends and just keep the family one going. But we can't have all 4 going on at once. We can't be good. We can't succeed at everything we want to succeed at. This is Alain de Botton, psychologist. In his TED Talk on success, he said the same thing. He said, if you want to be a successful author, you can't be a successful father at the same time, because the time spent on writing a book is time you're not spending with your children. And if you want to be a successful father, well, you can't be a successful author, because the time spent with your children is time you're not spending writing your book. We have to make our choices. Even if we can win, we can't win at everything. And this is what the Bible says, verse 3. If clouds are full of water, they pour rain on the earth. Whether a tree falls to the south or to the north, in the place where it falls, there it will lie. Whoever watches the wind will not plant. Whoever looks at the clouds will not reap. We don't know which way the tree will fall, maybe to the south, maybe to the north. Which way will the wind blow? Will it rain? Will it not rain? We can't pick every option. We have to choose one or the other, but we can't win. We can't succeed at everything. That's the second problem. And the third problem is we can't control the future. This, if you're a football fan, you know instantly what this picture refers to. This is Leicester City, and this year they won the English Premier League, and no one saw it coming. So at the start of the year, the bookmakers were offering odds of 5,000 to 1 if you put money on Leicester City. So just think about that. If you and I had put $100 on Leicester City at the start of the year, we would now have $500,000. And if you and I had put $200 on Leicester City, you and I would now have $1 million. And we would not be here right now. But no one saw it coming. That's why they're offering odds of 5,000 to 1. No one saw it coming. Except for this man, John McWade. He's the former editor-in-chief for The Economist, now the editor-in-chief for Bloomberg, just changed his job recently. Every year, as his birthday ritual for the last 20 years, he has put money on Leicester City on his birthday, as his birthday ritual. Every year for the last 20 years, except for this year. Because he changed his job and he moved from England to the United States, and that changed his ritual. Even he didn't see it coming. Or spare thought for this man, Mike Shatok, who loves to set up Cinnabon franchises all over the world. And Cinnabon are like McDonald's, but instead of hamburgers, they make cinnamon buns. So it's a food franchise. And around about 2012, he saw a country with a strong emerging economy, with a rich, affluent middle class who would just love cinnamon buns. So he set up a franchise in this city in 2012, and the country was Syria, just before the Civil War. And he lost everything. He said, well, no one could see it coming. And that's a problem. We can do everything we can to be successful, but we can't predict the future. Like, what Sydney real estate price is going to do next year? Are they going to go up? Or are they going to go down? We don't know. What's the US dollar going to do next year? Will it go up or will it go down? We don't know. What's our health going to do next year? Will we suddenly have a bout of back pain that will stop us working? Will a family member have cancer? Will there be a car accident? We don't know the future. As much as we can plan and work to succeed, We can't control the future. And the future could rob us of the success we worked for. Verse 5. As you don't know the path of the wind or how the body is formed in a mother's womb, so you cannot understand the work of God, the maker of all things. Sow your seed in the morning, and at evening let your hands not be idle, for you don't know which will succeed, whether this or that, or that both will do equally well. It says, yes, work hard, do everything we can to succeed, but we don't know what will work and what won't work. We can't predict the future. So they're the problems with the success story that we're typically handed down. So let's come to the final part of the talk now. What's an extraordinary way to see success? What's a way of seeing success in the Bible? And here I suggest two things. Number one, success is more a gift from God than something we gain as a meritocracy with our own hard work. Back to the piano thing. So I learnt the piano up until the age of 18 as a dutiful Asian son, and I've got nothing to show for it. This is what learning the piano was like for me. So if you've ever learned a musical instrument, this is what I had to endure. The teacher would give me 4 bars from the piece of music to learn, and I had to practice 4 bars with my right hand. And then next week, I'll get the same 4 bars and have to play it with my left hand, and I did that for a whole week. The next week, I did the same 4 bars with both hands together, so it was a 3-week cycle. And then the following week, we did the next 4 bars with the right hand, the next 4 bars with the left hand, next 4 bars with both hands together. It would take me 1 whole year to learn a piece. And so I can play the piano, I can play at your wedding if you want, I can play at your church if you want, but you've got to give me 1 year's notice. My wife, on the other hand, this is how she learnt the piano. She's very good at music. She would go to her music lesson. The piano teacher would play the piece for her once. My wife would hear the piece, process it, and reproduce the whole piece just from having heard it once. And then she would pretend to be reading the music, because that's what the teacher wanted to do, to read the music. So she would pretend to read it. Now, I've done almost 18 years of piano lessons. I've practiced, I've worked. She doesn't practice, she doesn't take the lessons. She's more musical than me. She has a gift. She's good at this. She's successful at music because of a gift from God. So yes, we need to work hard. Yes, we need to train. We need to do our bit. But we need to be humble enough to admit that much of our success is really a gift from God rather than something we gain from our own hard work. Because in the end, we didn't choose our parents. We didn't choose which schools they sent us to. We didn't choose which country we grew up in. These were circumstances that God controlled. That means when we're successful, we should be humble and praise God for the success He's given us. And when we don't find success, we need to reframe success as, well, I just need to trust that God has a better plan for me. He has something different in store for me. And so that sort of relaxes us that, yes, we have to play our part, but God will play His part as well. And this is what the Bible says. Verse 7. Light is sweet, and it pleases the eyes to see the sun. However many years anyone may live, let them enjoy them all. Everything is a gift from God. Light, sunlight, and the years we live, and the gifting that God has given us. Enjoy them as a gift from God, from a good God to enjoy. So we find success, enjoy them as a gift from God. Praise God, be humble. If we don't get the success we're looking for, just trust that God has something different, better, according to His plan for our life. So that's the first thing. See success as a gift from God. And the second thing is this. Have a bigger perspective on what God means by success. Have a bigger perspective. Verse 8 again. However many years anyone may live, let them enjoy them all. But let them remember the days of darkness, for there will be many. Everything to come is meaningless. You who are young, be happy while you're young, and let your heart give you joy in the days of your youth. Follow the ways of your heart, and whatever your eyes see, but know that for all these things, God will bring you into judgment. And what these verses are saying, enjoy what God has given us, but know that there will be a day in the future when we stand before God and only one question will count then: are we right with God? And that's the true success story that God looks for. Are we right with God? It's like doing the exams back in high school. Yes, write your name on the front. Yes, answer the questions on the front, but make sure you turn that page over because the money question is on the back, the essay question worth 60%. It's the same with us in life. Yes, do the stuff on the front of the paper, work on our friends, our family, our fitness, our career, but make sure we turn the page over because the money question is this: are we right with God? And if we are right with God, that puts everything else into perspective. And in that sense, everything is successful because we're living life according to God's plan. Verse 9, but know that for all these things, God will bring you into judgment. So then banish anxiety from your heart, cast off the troubles of your body, for youth and vigor are meaningless. If we're right with God, we can banish anxiety because that is the one question that counts. I tell this story often because it's a good one. I have a friend who works as a surgeon in a small country town. And because it's a small country town, he knows everyone as both doctor and friend. And when you see him for an operation, he gives you this talk. He says, as your doctor, I need to tell you, you need an operation. And as your doctor, I need to say that every operation carries a small theoretical risk of death. But now as your friend, I need to tell you, before the operation, you need to get yourself right with your family, and you need to get yourself right with God. Because that's the question that counts at the end of the day. Are we right with God? And if we are right with God, God gives us a new story to tell. See, there are two ways we can tell our story. One way could be this: look at me. I'm in my 40s, my marriage is failing, my kids hate me, my first business venture was a failure, and now my doctor says I need to lose weight. I'm a failure in the eyes of my friends and my family and myself. That's one way we can tell the story. But there's another way we can tell the story. Look at me. I'm in my 40s. My marriage isn't what it could be. My kids hate me. My business was a failure. Now my fitness is failing. My friends think I'm a failure. My family think I'm a failure. But in God's eyes, I'm okay. I'm a child of God, and He loves me so much. He sent me His Son Jesus, who died for me. His Son Jesus, who lives for me. He loves me so much. He loves me just the way I am, but He loves me too much to leave me the way I am. He's put His Son Spirit in me, where I'm a project of God, and bit by bit He's making me more and more like Jesus. In that sense, I am a success story in God's eyes. And that's why I can banish anxiety from my heart, because God has given me a new story of success to tell.
Just while we're still also sorting out some of the questions in our head, Sam, I've got a couple that have come through on the SMS line, and they're a little bit similar, so I'll give them both to you. Mm-hmm. So if I only have limited knowledge and limited control, what's to stop us from getting frustrated and despairing? And then if God's already decided, why do anything?
Okay, so we've only got limited knowledge, and the point is that's okay. That's okay. So what's happened in the history of Western thought, ever since Descartes and the Enlightenment and 1600s onwards, we've had to, Descartes thinking, I'm going to found all knowledge on one certain principle. I think and therefore I am, and because of that I can know everything with 100% certainty. We think we have to have absolute knowledge with absolute certainty, but that's only been a recent innovation. We should just be relaxed and just realize, you know what? I only know partially, with only partial certainty, and that's okay. And that's all I need in life. And I just trust that someone else who knows what's going on knows things better than I do. And that's very much the position of the Bible. So it's okay not to have absolute certain knowledge of everything that's going on. And that's much of life. I still don't understand how a telephone works. I don't know how an internal combustion engine works. No doctors will order CT and MRI scans. I bet you they don't understand how the CT and the MRI machines work, but we have a working knowledge, and that's what the Bible often gives us, a working knowledge, enough to live and enough to survive on a day-by-day basis. And the second question then was...
So if God's already decided what's going to happen, why do anything?
God's already decided. Well, that's what that's where we have to understand, well, how do we understand God's interaction with the world? And we can go for two extreme positions or Goldilocks third position in the middle. So one extreme position is the whole idea of determinism. God has predetermined everything that's going on, and basically I'm a robot and it's fatalistic, such is the will of God, I can do no other. And people who don't believe in God have very similar positions, like we believe in social determinism. This is the group I've been born into, and I can't help but be who I am because of the group I've been born into. Or genetic determinism, I've been born this way, I can be no other. But at the other end of the spectrum is this position called libertarian free will, where I can make choices, I can transcend my circumstances because I have free will. And this is the position of much of Western civilization. So the first line of the Australian national anthem is, Australians all let us rejoice because we're young and free, we can make free choices. So even though I've been born this way, or this is the group I've been born in, I can make choices. That's why there's such thing as moral responsibility and rewards for making good choices. And so the Western narrative is quite confused right now, because sometimes it wants to play this card, and sometimes when it plays this card, it tries to have it both ways. But the Bible's position is this third position called compatibilism, where God is in control, he knows everything, even knows the future, but he does it by cooperating with our free choices. So we have real choices, but God is in control at the same time. And so we only have this card, determinism. Well, then it becomes a bit disheartening. Well, what can I do? I'm not really free. If we only have this one, libertarian free will, it becomes quite crushing because we're burdened by the guilt of our choices. Oh my gosh, I better make the right choice of toothpaste because that might even lock me down the wrong pathway. But this one, again, gives us that position where we do everything we can, God cooperates with our efforts, and so when we find success, be humble and praise God, and we don't find success, reframe the way we see success, and just trust that God has something better for me.
Cool. Thanks, Sam. Just a chance for questions from the floor. That's okay, I've got another one that's come in here.
Sure.
Sam, if God has given us certain gifts, should we only play to those gifts and strengths, or is there something to be said for acting against the grain and developing other skills, even if they don't come naturally?
All right. Yes, there are many factors that go into the recipe of what we do and what we choose to do and what makes things successful. So there is what we're born with. So my wife has a musical gifting, which I don't have. But then there's practice and hard work. And then there's technique. So that's what you have coaches for. So I'll give you an example. So Usain Bolt and I could both run a 100 metres race. I could train more than Usain Bolt, put in more hours. I can get a better coach than Usain Bolt and have a better technique. And I can shave off maybe 2 seconds off my 25-second 100-metre time. But I still will not beat Usain Bolt because of the gifting he has. He's a foot taller than me. And so that means he should stay humble about his success, like God has given him something that God hasn't given me. So it's not just hard work that gives him his success. But the question is saying, is there more than success that goes into the story? And yes, there is. There's circumstances. So circumstances might allow Usain Bolt to run 100 metres. Circumstances allow my wife Stephanie to have a piano. Many children grow up without access to a piano. Circumstances might mean if my parents are sick, I have to look after them. So now I can't pursue a PhD or further qualifications. So circumstances are very important. The next one they say is aptness. And that's this X factor, like somehow we enjoy this. There's an aptness. Like some people enjoy swimming, and so maybe they should pursue a career in swimming. Some people enjoy singing, so maybe there's an aptness there. My brother is a hand surgeon. He has an aptness for hand surgery. When he was growing up as a child, he used to freak out if he couldn't get his shoelaces exactly even, to the 0.5 millimetre. That is the guy you want as your hand surgeon. Like, there's an aptness there. He used to restack the dishwasher when I was a kid because he wanted it just so neat. There's an aptness that makes him perfect for being a hand surgeon, which I don't have. But the final one they say that trumps all of that. That trumps gifting, hard work, technique, circumstances, and aptness is purpose. Is there a purpose in what I do? And people are just saying, I need a transcendent purpose. In the end, I can't just be doing this for me. I have to be doing it for some transcendent purpose. So maybe it's a gold medal for my country. That's your transcendent purpose. But that's where the Bible kicks in as well and says, you know what? There's a God who loves us, who made us. He's wired us a certain way. And we do this for his joy, to glorify him.
Cool. Thanks, Sam. We've got time for one, maybe two more. Did anyone else from the floor want to ask a question? That's good, because I've got one here that could be taken in two ways, depending where you put the emphasis. Sam, so it's either, Sam, how do you work out where the gas needs to go? Or, Sam, how do you work out where the gas needs to go?
Okay, how do you work out which burner to turn on? Well, I've just mentioned those things. So circumstances, aptness, and purpose become very important. But another one to throw into the mix is stage of life. What stage of life are we in? And so when I'll quote Stephen Biddulph. Stephen Biddulph in his book Manhood says, as a guy, you've got to work out what stage of life you're in. So when you're single, that's very different from when you're married, which is very different from when you're married with kids, which is very different depending on what ages your kids are. So apparently the age kids need you are like 4 to 14. That is when you have to be a dad around them. So for example, when I got married, we went overseas and I pursued a PhD. And I could do that because we had no children. I've come back since then, I've had children, and I thought, oh my goodness, this would have been so hard to do, a PhD and children at the same time. So you've got to recognise what stage of life you're in. And so a few years ago, I used to teach at a Bible college, and I finished that job, and I was looking for the next job, and I was thinking, I could be a surgeon, like continue the medical career that I didn't have. I put a pause on that. Now I can go back to medicine, be a surgeon. And all my surgeon friends were saying, not now. You can't do this now. You could have done this when you had no kids or your kids were very young, but your kids are now 8, 7, and 4. This is their time. You cannot train as a surgeon now, because when you come in as a surgeon and say, hey, I'm a surgeon, your kids are now all grown up and say, that's great, Dad, but where were you when we needed you? So there's a real stage of life sort of thing as well, recognising what stage of life you're in. So Steve Biddulph says, there's a stage of life where you can chase the book deal, the promotion, the overseas job, but there are other stages of life where, you shouldn't go for the book deal, the overseas job, or the promotion, because that is the time you might have to be there for your children or for your wife. So the Bible often says even in your first 2 years of marriage, you're exempt from a lot of other duties and responsibilities because you need to lay the foundation for your marriage. I'll give you another example. I got into the whole marathon running craze a little while ago, and so I was running 1 marathon per year. And when we had no kids, that was easy. I just tell my wife, I'm going for the long run now. I'll see you in 2 or 3 hours. Fine. When we had 1 kid, I said, hey, I'm going for a long run now. I'll see you in 2 or 3 hours. She said, yeah, sure, go. When we had 2 kids, she started giving me this look like, and when we had 3 kids, it was like, you're kidding me. You're kidding me. No, you're not going. So it's just recognising the stage of life you're in.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, Sam. Thanks for talking. Thanks for answering our questions today.